So the efficiency that the offense has been playing with for most of the season, but especially the last month or so, I guess, what's clicking, what's working well for you guys?
I think they're starting to settle in and really understand the scheme and continuity. We've had the same guys out there, so they're understanding the mistakes. But we also had some things show up that we got to get corrected, some little minor things that we got to tweak and make sure we're on point. But I like overall how they, just the continuity, the playing for each other. They're kind of taking it out of our hands and they just want to play for each other, which is awesome to see.
The offensive line, I know it was a point of emphasis early on was locating guys and being a little bit more concise with that. How much better has that gotten?
We've seen it all, and that had to come. We had to see every front, every shift, every motion, every change of strength. We had to get all of it. And I think with us having the same guys out there building it, we don't have the catastrophic missed assignments. We still got some little details, leverage things we got to clean up, but we hadn't had the catastrophic.
Is that just a matter of experience and continuity?
Oh, yeah. You don't learn this hot tea. You don't learn this stove is hot tea, put your hand on it. And we had to get burned a couple of times, and now I'm starting to see that as long as they keep applying the lessons that they learn, it should be good for them.
Speaking of learning lessons, last year against Florida it seemed like a learning lesson for this team to handle something with stakes. What did you guys take away from that game, and was that indeed a learning experience positively in a way?
Well, they went in the game to beat Florida instead of play their best. And that's what coaches really preach. It's not about the opponent. It's about making sure you're on point and doing what you're supposed to do and handling yourself and playing your best. As long as they continue to do that, they'll be fine. But they have to understand that it's always about them.
And has that carried over, I guess? Have you seen that lesson from last year apply itself in big games this year?
It's getting better.
Okay.
The thing about it is week to week. So whatever happened last week don't matter for this week. So we got to make sure this week we playing our best.
You talked to us about the sledgehammer technique. Was that expected for you, and how do you think you did?
I was surprised how heavy it was because that was my first time picking it up. So I tried to when I picked it up at first, I kind of played it off. But I didn't know if I was going to be able to get that thing above my head. But my eyes was on me, so I had to show up.
And then Dylan got to do it as well on behalf of the offensive line. I guess, what has he meant to this program, this position group, and for you as a coach, to install your culture and values? How's he done with that?
Just like you say, break the rock. He's been a rock for us, man. He came into a situation that wasn't ideal. He came in and helped us with a lot of off-the-field cultural pieces. You see what he's done with his community service. Just an all-around mentality and type of player that you want in your league. And he was able to mentor those young guys. It's been awesome having him.
Offensive line will talk about how he does a little fist, how he's got instituted the fist pound before plays. How did that come about?
Man, that was him. He introduced it as something they did at the previous program he was at, and we kind of took it and kind of made it our own. Were the reasons why we wanted to do it, and and the guys bought into it. And they don't buy into that unless they buy into the person that's bringing it. So if they didn't believe in him, they wouldn't believe in what he's saying. So by him establishing those relationships before he tried to just come in and institute things, that helped it out a lot.
How do you view it? Is this something just to get guys focused, or is that what's the symbolism to it?
It's simple as you're not out here by yourself. Whatever happened, move on. You know what I mean? And we're going to play this together. So it's basically like, hey, whatever happened, erase it. Let's move on to the next play because we out here and we got to execute. And you're not by yourself, man. I'm right here with you. Let's go do it together.
With how you have to be with AJ's red shirt, wanting to redshirt him, and how few games he can play in. It was the first time he played in quite a while. How valuable do you think that after being just practiced with along the game experience again was for him?
Well, yeah, man, the rules in college football have changed. We're able to play with guys 4 games where you can redshirt them, give them that little bit of experience. But we got some competitors. These guys want to play. And they want to play all the time, so we got to kind of protect them from themselves a little bit so they understand the opportunity to have that extra in your pocket if needed, or barring anything happen to you. So, he's a competitor, but it was good to get him out there and get him some real game experience. But no, anytime we can get guys out there, we keep account of how many games they played in so we can give them some action if necessary.
The FCS transfer window started today. I guess as a coach, you're still in the middle of the regular season. How much attention can you pay to something?
Didn't even know that. So.
Breaking news.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Sorry. Had a little deal going on this morning.
That's a good answer.
Florida's defense hasn't maybe played all that well this year, but they played really well against South Carolina, and then we saw what South Carolina did next year. What did they do particularly well against South Carolina, and how good can they do? What challenges do they?
I'm pretty sure their coach is preaching the same thing. It ain't about the opponent. It's when we show up and be our best, we have we know what good football is. So it's the same way with us. We got to make sure it doesn't matter who you play. It's how you play in those moments against those opponents. Now, if you show up against one team and don't show up in the other, we attribute it to the team. And sometimes that's a little bit of the case, but mostly it's just you taking care of your business. So that's what I know. What I know is they're big, athletic. They got one of the biggest D linemen in the country, if not the biggest to ever be out there and play D line. And they got a linebacker that's a real one. And they got long ends. They're athletic. They can run. They can tackle. They play with a lot of passion. So we better strap up and be ready.
And Coach Norvell talked about maybe the team didn't handle emotions real well the last time you guys played this team in the Swamp. What kind of lessons have been learned since then, and what do you think you'll be able to see on Friday night to prove that they have learned those lessons?
Yeah, see, lessons are learned in moments. So basically, they were trying to go beat an opponent instead of being their best and really handle their own business. And you're hoping that lesson apply. Now, what we did last week don't matter for this week. So we got to make sure we keep that same kind of mentality and focus when we go in there and make sure we're executing at the highest level we can execute.
If you look at Coach Gravel's track record, his teams have a lot of success in November, both at Memphis and the last few years here. There's something you look at with him or the coaches he surrounds himself with that you think that's the case?
That's him. He breathes the message, he breathes the culture, and he makes sure we understand what the expectation is here each and every day. So his mentality bleeds into the team, and it becomes a reflection of him because he bleeds consistency and things like that. So as the team goes, they consistently can continuity start to build because he makes sure every day is independent. So today is all you have is what he preached, and then we worry about tomorrow. So he keeps that mentality and it's starting to show with him beating it in our faces, which is good.
Why do you think you all have been so successful finding the right fits out of the transfer portal? Guys who can develop, guys who can be productive, be leaders?
Man, I think it's just trusting people around players, trusting coaches to give you their evaluation. You know, like what we look for is somebody to vouch for and say, hey, look, man, I know I watched the film, I know I seen the kid, I met the kid, but I need somebody to tell me, coach, no doubt, no brainer, that trust and building those relationships. And also, man, it creates opportunity for some players. Some players didn't do well at some places and did well at others. You know, some people do good at one job and then go to another job, they're a whole different person. Some people in one relationship, in one marriage, they go to another and they're a whole different person. So it's more of them finding opportunity and providing them everything they need to make the decision to be their best.
We talked to Rob Scott talked to us after the game saying he didn't know Marqueston had that kind of catch in on the catching for that touchdown. I remember talking to you in the preseason about, I mean, you being surprised maybe that he was kind of already ready for the role. What's it been like watching him kind of have that success this season?
Yeah, I forget how young he is, and he hadn't played a lot. You know, this is kind of his first season, kind of jumping out there and be a major role in the offense. He's still got a lot of ball left, but to see his development has been fun because he was a basketball guy. So he looks at the game in basketball, you know, so that probably was his moment. I told him after he caught the ball, I saw him taking selfies. I said, you know, the catch don't make you cute now. Calm down, man. But nah, he had a good time with him, man. It was fun.
Y'all good? All right.